Web Show TV's bargain basement studio in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. It's Pillow Talk with Willow Schuyler.
Will you take me to Winnipeg?
I will, someday. Toronto, Montreal, Quebec, Winnipeg.
Now what's this guy doing up here in Manitoba?
He was holding the map up.
Every salvage mission that's been through this system has disappeared. Even those old pirates out at Winnipeg Drift say it's cursed.
Cursed. Winnipeg's got a great ballet. Have a good time, I swear to God.
Sweet guinea pig of Winnipeg! They've taken over our company!
Balderdash! I never agreed to that!
I should have stayed in Winnipeg, you know? I had a nice gallery, 3 paintings in the wall.
Are you kidding? And you look back. Born home, Quebec. Drafted out of the juniors in the 5th round to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Played for a year with the Leafs, then traded to the Winnipeg Jets, then to Calgary, then to Boston.
Wow.
So Winnipeg must get pretty cold up there.
That's it! Back to Winnipeg!
Good morning.
Have you ever heard of a place called Winnipeg?
You know what? I hear it's very popular in the movies. So, Glenn, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on.
So, okay, you knew Jack Kirby. You're an artist. You're an author. You're pretty much a jack of all kinds of trades when it comes to media stuff. So, tell me about yourself.
Where shall I start? Well, I've been drawing and writing since I was about 4, and I wrote my first book when I was 8. And it was only 20 pages, but I think for an 8-year-old, that's pretty good going. And I don't know where it is now. I wish I had it. It's probably the worst thing that anybody ever wrote. But and I think I'm quite proud of that fact. But I've always been drawing comics. I used to draw. Me and my friend Paul Cook used to draw a comic called Spitfire back in 1964 when we were about 8 or 9, something like that. And it's a funny story there because Paul was told off by his grandma because she asked him what he was doing, and we were drawing we're making these stories up. We were drawing them, and we're only 8. And she said to him, "What are you doing?" And Paul said, "Me and Glenn are drawing these comic." So she said, "Let me look." So we showed these drawings, and she told him off, and she said, "You didn't do these. You're lying." So she didn't believe us that we'd drawn these wonderful things, But anyway, so later on I went to art college and I worked in graphics, and I was working on all sorts of illustration, photography, cinema, storyboards, doing a whole lot of stuff, And then after about sort of 15 years of that, I went out on my own. And I did the same thing, and it was great because I had a different job on the board every day. Some days I'd be writing something, some day I'd be organising photography shoots, and then illustrating cartoons and doing portraits. And I used to have a different kind of job on my desk. Now, today, I write books and comics, draw comics. That's about the roundup of it.
Okay, so how did you get involved with the comic book industry?
I've never actually been involved directly with the mainstream comic industry because I would send samples in, and they would turn me down and this kind of thing. So I'd just do my own. But I've always read comics from as long as I can remember. But as you mentioned before about Jack Kirby, the biggest influence on me is Jack Kirby, and I first found his stuff in 1965-ish. When my brother brought home a Strange Tales comic that he'd only done the layouts on, and John Severin had done the artwork over it. But it was just fantastic because the comics I was reading then were things like the Beano and the Dandy. I don't know if you've seen those. They're what I call cartoons. Yeah. I don't consider Jack Kirby's work cartoons, as such, because they're realistic. They portray realistic people, or maybe Superman's not, maybe Thor's not realistic, but you understand what I mean. It looks real, doesn't it? And the stuff up until then was just cartoons, and so that's why he had a big influence on me. And obviously, I used to look at the artwork. The words really bothered with, but the artwork was just so powerful, especially his, and that led me into collecting Marvel comics and all that kind of stuff, you know.
So, okay, when you first met Jack Kirby, like what was that all about? Like, how did you guys come to meet each other?
I remembered all this is in the book. I remembered that I was going on holiday, and I met these Americans, and I remember they lived in California, and I remember that Jack Kirby lived in California, and I didn't even know at that point whether he was alive or dead. And I'd been getting back into comics in the mid-'80s, and I just asked them if they knew where a place where 1,000 Oaks was. And they said, yes, it's an hour away, because as you know, as Americans, everywhere's an hour away to an American. I don't know how that works, but everywhere's an hour away. Anyway, so they sent me his phone number, so I rang it, and it was him.
Oh, wow.
And I arranged to go out there a few months later, the following year, a few months later, and went to his house, and they fed me and were very nice and lovely people, fantastic people. And Roz is one of the most beautiful women I've ever met. You know, she's just gorgeous, and she's really, really nice and friendly. Jack was friendly. You couldn't believe what they were. I couldn't believe what they were like. I didn't expect them to be hostile for sure, but they were just so good, just so nice. They fed me when I got there. I couldn't speak when I got there. You know, for about 2 hours. I'm sitting at this table with this guy who's created everything that I love in comics, and he's this little guy, and you see all the stuff that he draws, and he draws these huge gods and stuff like this, you know. And it's just, he was just great. He kept asking me what name was. He kept asking me why I was there, because I wasn't saying anything. He'd be talking to, I went with some other people, and he was talking to them, and he'd say, who are you again? Why are you here? You know. So he had a sense of humor as well, but he was great. He was really good.
So I know in the book that you wrote about Jack Kirby that he has given you so many different things to boost your career with. What was the best thing he said to you?
Well, I took him some of my work to show him, and he said, and the incredible thing is, he said to me, he said, "You see what I see." And which was fantastic. And what he meant by that was the way that I was telling the stories in my comics. I showed him some pages, and Roz looked at them as well. And she was the sternest critic, but she said they were good. She said, "Yeah, you develop your own style and all this kind of thing." But the greatest thing he said was that my storytelling, what do you call it? It was developed through studying his work. So he taught me really. But he wasn't in the room with me. But I studied his work and saw how it worked, because comics, as everybody knows, they're just like silent films, aren't they? You don't need the words. It's like a film. If it's told correctly, it could work without the dialogue, because they did work without the dialogue, like Chaplin and things like that. You know what it's storytelling. You know, you don't need the words there. The words are just to give the characters a name or a place. And that's what he taught me, was the movement of the pictures, sequential art, because he worked in animation before he worked in comics, and he learned how to make a drawings move, from one section to one scene to the next, just storytelling. And that was the greatest thing he said to me, was that my work was like his. And I thought, well, I can handle that coming from the master. And I just don't think he was just saying it,
Yeah.
I don't think he would have said anything if they were rubbish.
Were you around the time where there was that feud between him and Stan Lee?
No. I met him in the late 80s.
Okay.
That was all going on in the 70s, I think. But at the time, he was having trouble with the copyrights and all that stuff was going on. But I didn't talk to him about that. That was too personal. Yes, that would have been rude of me to ask about that. And that's funny, because that's what people ask me about now. They say, "Did you ask him about that?" And I just said, no. That was what I did. Was I'd seen him on a couple of interviews, and having got to the house and being in his company, I could see that he liked to tell his stories about when he was in the army and this kind of thing. So I just let him talk. Mm-hmm. I didn't go with a set of questions. the second time I went, I didn't go with a second set of questions. I went with the camera, and my friend Bob from California, he filmed it, and I just let Jack talk. I mean, I talked to him, but I didn't ask him, what were you doing on this day, and how, I didn't ask him that stuff. I just let him talk. And it's fascinating because he didn't say so much about comics. He was talking about the people around it, when he was a kid and when he was in the army and that kind of thing. And I think that's the best kind of interview. I think interviews where you go with a set of questions are boring. You should you should be, the talk show hosts do it. The best talk show hosts get the person to talk by asking minimal things. Yeah. Let them go with it. And that's what I did with him.
That's kind of how I work. Like, I'll have some questions.
Yeah, you prompt them. Yeah, you have a prompt.
But then it's like, as we start talking, it's like, okay, I want to listen. I just want to listen to you talk.
Right. I think why. But, it was just an amazing experience. And what I did with the film was that I had this film for years, obviously, because he's been dead since 1994. So he's been dead 25 years, whatever. And a couple of years ago, I released the first version of it in 2017, which would have marked his 100th anniversary, the August. And I released it to a selected audience in a theatre. And I'll tell you what's really daunting, because it only occurred to me the moment, just before the moment it happened. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have gone to my own premiere. And I walked into the room, and all these people, about 40 or 50 people were there. Only a couple knew who knew me. They knew who I was, obviously, because they'd gone to the event, but they didn't know me personally. So I'm there in a room full of these strangers, and all of a sudden, I thought, my head is going to be 20 feet high on that screen any second that came on. And that's really daunting, listening to yourself, watching yourself with 50 strangers on a 20-foot high screen. And that was all that was in my head for the first 10 minutes. My God, listen to this. And I was just talking. I was my wife interviewed me, you see, on the film. Yeah. And that's that interview didn't daunt me at all. But watching myself saying it in front of 50 people. So, but after that, it was all right. You get used to it. I thought, well, you brought it on yourself,
It's like rewatching these interviews, and you're like, "Oh, I'm such a dork."
I don't. The first time, the first time I was on Randy Zimmerman's show a couple of times, and have been on a few since. But I watched the first couple, or listened to them while I was working, and I thought, oh, and your voice sounds awful, doesn't it? I don't like my voice at all, and I thought, I can't do this anymore. So I don't watch them now. No, I don't watch them at all now. I remember John Lennon saying, George Martin, the producer, met him later after the Beatles, and George Martin said to him, "Is there anything you'd change?" And he said, "Yeah, I'd get Paul to sing all the songs because my voice is awful." No. Oh, no. I wish I could sing as well as John Lennon. Because he's pretty good, isn't he? So it just goes to show how even the so-called greats can, find their voice grating.
Yeah. So. Well, every so often I'll go back and listen to a little bit of my stuff, and I'm just like, no, I should learn to be a little bit more prepared for this, but you can't keep thinking like that, because that's that just brings you down.
Yeah, well, that's like the opposite of what I just said about asking the person questions. You prepare, but you can't prepare fully. You've got to go somewhere. You've got to go into an area that you're not comfortable with, I think, because you grow more when you do that. If everything's really safe, then you don't really you don't advance, do you? So I'm not saying I haven't prepared for this, because I have, but not as much as I might have done, and maybe not even as much as I should have done. But, I'm not getting blasé with it at all, but you just think, oh, well, just let it flow, because that's, like I say about the interviewer. You get a better interview when how old are you? Where were you born? Where do you live? It's like filling a form for a job.
Yeah, no, I like to get to know the person rather than like I like to know your career path, but I also like to know about you, like how talk about your interests, like what are your hobbies?
My hobbies are, well, I like reading. I've read over 600 books. I've always liked reading. One of the greatest things I ever did was learn to read, or somebody taught me to read, obviously, but I learned to read. I was reading things like Isaac Asimov when I was 14, trying to, not saying I understand science and things like that, because Isaac Asimov are very scientific, or can be in parts, but I just read everything. I like to read, and I like to draw. I like to paint. I like to take photographs of things. So I like creative work. I wish I could sing, because I'd be a singer. That's the only thing that I can't do.
Well, one of these days we'll have to go on to karaoke night just to.
Well, Helen says I can sing, but I don't think I can. So that's the end of that. I'm not suddenly going to be singing. But the singing is the only thing that I would swap my particular talent for. If I could sing as well as I can draw, however good or bad that is, I'd be happy with that. Because I like singers. I like David Bowie and Kate Bush, and the Beatles, and Cat Stevens. These are all my James Taylor. I like singers. I like voices. That's the greatest instrument is a voice. Like Pavarotti. I mean, I don't particularly like opera, but he's got the most amazing voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure if he had lungs big enough, he could hold that note for 15 years. Absolutely incredible. And this is what I always get into, and I get attacked for this, but I don't care. You see, I think that people say, "Where did I learn to draw?" And I don't think I learned to draw. I think drawing, singing, I think all the arts, it's talent. You can do it. You're born with it. You might not use it, but you're born with it, and you do get better if you keep doing it. Of course you do. That happens in anything. But you can't learn to draw, because, and the proof of that is that if you could learn to draw, we'd all be Jack Kirby. We'd all be Leonardo da Vinci, but we're not. And if I could learn to sing, I'd be singing as well as Marvin Gaye, but I don't. And he's been dead for 40 years. Yeah. I've lived 20 years longer than he did, and I still can't do it. And he was doing it in the choir at church when he was 6. So where did he learn? Stevie Wonder, #1 all over the world, aged 11. He only had 11 years to practice. So if you think up till 5, you don't know what's going on because you're a kid. He only had 6 years to practice and be that good.
Yeah.
Talent. It's called talent. You can't learn that.
Yeah, that's true. So you obviously listen to a lot of music, and do you listen to music while you're doing your art?
I listen to also. I listen to George Michael, Annie Lennox, all these people. I listen to anything. I listen to classical music. I listen to country and western music. I like all kinds of music. Depends how you're feeling and what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. You're like me. You listen to an eclectic style of music. So, yeah.
Sometimes I turn it off because it's driving me crazy. But that's because I want to listen to it. I like to listen to music. I don't like music on in the background so much, because I like to listen to it.
Yeah.
See what I just like the music. But I like George Michael. I even like David Cassidy. David Cassidy's brilliant. Remember David Cassidy?
Yep.
Great actor, much maligned artist because he's got a pretty face. You see, because he looks pretty, everybody thinks that's what he is, but he's not. I think he's great.
My aunt used to be like obsessed with him, and we actually went to one of his concerts when he came to Winnipeg. And
he's just a showman. He's not the best ever, but I just think he's great. I like him, But I like lots of things, mainly singers. Like I said to you, James Taylor, Cat Stevens, Paul McCartney, Elton John. Not now because he busts it now, but when he first started out, you got Carole King, Minnie Riperton, and then Grand Funk Railroad, Fleetwood Mac, Rolling Stones. Get it on.
Fleetwood Mac is an amazing group.
Stevie Nicks. Wow. How good is she?
It's funny because I didn't realize how much they influenced my life until I went to their concert a couple of years ago, and I'm just like, oh, they did this song, they did this song, did this song. And like I had no clue until
if you listen to the Rumours album, from 1977. That album's one of the best-selling albums of all time, and they were all falling out at the time. They could barely be with each other, and they got that from it. And the same with the Beatles with Abbey Road. They were falling out big time when they made Abbey Road, and I think that's their best album. In fact, that was the first album I ever bought. I went down to the record shop to get T-Rex, Ride a White Swan, Mark Bolan and all that. When I got to the shop, I decided to buy the McCartney album with the cherries on, you know, his first solo album with the little baby in his coat.
Yeah.
And I came home with Abbey Road. So I made the right choice, because T-Rex I would never have listened to 3 weeks later. The Cherries album's a bit choppy, but Abbey Road is just perfection. So I made the right choice. But the first single I bought was My Sweet Lord, George Harrison. So that's how old I am. Because I bought them when they came out.
See, and you were brought up in a time where, you know, music was, in my mind, like if I can go back to the 60s and relive that time of music.
I wasn't listening. I was only a teenager in the 60s, so I wasn't. I was born in 1955, so the 60s were, you know, I was 10 and then 15. So age 15, the 60s ended. So I wasn't really listening to music at that time. I knew who the Stones were and the Beatles were, because you couldn't help that, because it was like Elvis. I knew Elvis was, because everybody knows who Elvis is. But I wasn't listening to the music then. I was reading the comics then. So, but when the 70s came in, and I was 15, 16, then I started getting all the records. And then people like Elton John were there, and Carole King and Cat Stevens and all those people. And I just had the best musical time, as everybody at that time did, I think, because we had just 5 years of just amazing stuff like David Bowie and all these kind of things. And then other people come along later. But at that time, in fact, I missed a chance. I was going to write a book for ages. I've been writing going to write a book called 1971, and it was going to be a book about me when I was 16 and all the music, and it was all that stuff. And I didn't do it, and somebody's done it. Somebody's written a book, and they've called it 1971, and it's the same thing as I was going to do. And I wonder whether I've said something to somebody who said something to somebody who said something to somebody, and he wrote the damn book. And I regret that. I should have done it.
Stuff like that has happened to me, where it's like I think about something, and like a comic character or a cartoon character, and it's like I think about this story for so long, and then like a couple of years later, you know, Max Steel comes up on TV, and it's like
I've done it again. I've done it again with this book.
Okay.
Right? This is this science fiction book that I've illustrated as well, and I started writing this book in 1977, and over the years I've left it for years and decades, and I finally finished it off. And then, what it's about a geologist who gets stranded on one of the moons of Saturn. And a few years ago, that guy brought The Martian out, which is Matt Damon stranded on Mars.
Yeah.
So I've never read it. I've never seen the film, because I can't do it, because I don't want to be upset anymore. The fact that somebody and a big star's been in it and they've made a blockbuster film. I mean, I've not seen it, so I don't really know what happens. But I do know he gets stranded.
Yeah.
But
it is a good film, though.
I think the outcome's. I do think the outcome's different than mine. But the point is that I should have finished it up in 1977. But I did some illustrations for it. I know you can see that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
And it's illustrated through the book, so you know. So the advice, kids, get on with it.
Yes, do not wait.
if you want to go somewhere, if you want to do something, do it. And maybe I'll listen to my own words one day.
It's so easy to give other people advice.
Of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Well, I had for the longest time I wanted to go to Easter Island.
Oh yeah.
So I did. And then I came back a couple of years ago. Well, last year I published this book. These are all my photographs. You know, the giant moai on the island. These guys.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
And they're all my photographs. I went there, and the reason that the story behind that book is back in the mid-60s. Again, we had a teacher called Mr. Clarkson, and he was the English teacher and the drama teacher. And he read us a book called The Kon-Tiki Expedition by a Norwegian explorer called Thor Heyerdahl. You might have heard of him. And he'd spent a year in Easter Island digging these moai, because you know they're 60 feet high. When you see them, there's the same again under the ground. You know, the massive thing. They weigh 60 tons, 80 tons. And Mr. Clarkson read us this book, and everybody else was bored to death with this book, but I thought it was fascinating. And over the years, I've always wanted to go there. Now, it's the remotest inhabited place on Earth. It's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And a few years ago, well, 15 years ago, I was single and I had the money, and I thought, right, I'm going. And I went all that way, and I came back and I produced my book, and it's on Amazon now. You can get it now. And it's I wrote an extensive diary while I was there, kept an extensive diary, and then I mixed it in with the history of the place and Captain Cook going there and all that kind of thing, and took all these photographs. Yeah. I took 1,000 photographs.
Oh, wow.
And I think there's 100 in this, maybe 200, I'm not sure. But, do it. I went all the way and I wrote a book about it, and I took the pictures and I just produced it and everything. And I've got 6 hours of film from the place that I've never edited. And I keep promising myself, and this is what I sent you, but I'll take my own advice one day. I should edit that film and do something. I should do something with it. Maybe not release it, but I should do something with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not as if there's not a lot of stuff on YouTube you can watch and stuff. It's not as good as mine.
So what is your favorite place to travel to?
New York.
New York. Oh, wow.
I've been to New York about 12 times, I think. I think it's the best place on earth apart from where I live. But I would go and live there tomorrow if I could. But it's wonderful. And
have you explored all of New York? Or is that the reason why you keep going back to see the new stuff?
Well, I've done all the 6 boroughs and all that kind of stuff, but I'm mainly on Manhattan, obviously, when I go. But there's just such a lot there, and with all this COVID thing now, I've not had a chance to go back. It's ages since I've been anywhere, and mind, I mean, the same with everybody in the world. But it's just, I don't know whether have you been to New York? Have you been?
I haven't.
Right. Well, it's alive. It's alive.
I have yet to leave Canada.
Oh, right.
Believe it or not.
Well, it's alive. New York is alive. The walls of the buildings dance when you're walking down the street. It's absolutely incredible. There's a charge in the air. It's a wonderful place. It's absolutely brilliant, and I love it. I love it. Canada's nice as well. I've been to Niagara Falls and all that sort of stuff. That was good. But New York City is the best place, I think, that I've been to.
Okay. Is there a place that you want to travel to in the future?
Oh yeah, everywhere. I want to go to Antarctica.
Okay.
I want to go down there. I've been all across India, and I've been to other places in Europe and all this kind of thing. But I want to go to Antarctica. I don't know whether sort of civilians, as it were, can go. I presume you can. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of stuff going on down there. They have military bases down there, don't they? And geological digs, and I don't know what they're digging for. Well, I've got an idea, but anyway, that's another show. But that'll be on there, the truth mongers. But yeah, Antarctica. If I could go, and Iceland as well. I want to go to Iceland because on Iceland you can stand either side of 2 tectonic plates. You know, the plates of the Earth, and you can stand on 2 tectonic plates at the same time, just by straddling them. I want to do that, and I want to go in those red hot geyser things where people go for saunas and stuff and do all that, because apparently it's fantastic on Iceland. It's about 500 miles from me, I think. Iceland, it's not that far really.
Okay.
But I'd like to go there. So, but I'd like to go everywhere. I've got an idea for a book I think there's 185 countries in the world, and I've got an idea for a book that's unique, and I know it's unique. It's never been done before, and I've only told my wife what it is, because I don't want another Martian to get me, or whatever, on 1971. But I need to go to every country in the world, and I'm not sure whether I'm not sure you could do that even without COVID, because some places you probably wouldn't either get in or wouldn't want to. I got into trouble in Iraq, and also, so there's some places that you don't want to go to.
Yeah.
So I'll never do my book.
So you're obviously a history buff.
Yeah.
Is there a part in Britain that you like to just like? Are there like buildings or a place in Britain that you just stare at and just like?
No, this is not really. No, I'm American. You see, people think I'm an American. I think I am, because I researched for the longest time Kennedy assassination. I've written 2 books about that. I used to publish a magazine about that kind of stuff in the 90s. I like Americana,
Okay.
I'd love to. In fact, I've been all over America. I've been both coasts. I've been all through the middle. I've been Texas and Memphis, and I've been everywhere. But I've not been in the north so much, in like places like Montana. And I'd like to go to Devil's Tower. I think that's in Wyoming. I'd like to go to Devil's Tower and see that Close Encounters thing,
Yeah.
But I could spend the next million years exploring America. I really could. I want to go to Yellowstone Park before it pops, and half the continent disappears, because it's got this big volcano underneath it, hasn't it? That's overdue, apparently. Yellowstone Park is going to disappear. Yeah. The whole of one side of the west side of America is going to disappear, apparently, in a big hole. So
they've been saying that about California for the longest time.
They have. Hey, listen, if you go to, have you been to California?
No.
If you go to California, go get one of the tram things. Go to what's it called? Palm Springs, and go up in one of the trams. You go up in the mountains, and when you get top of the mountain, you can see the ridge, the San Andreas Ridge. The vegetation is a different color because of what's going on underneath it. You can see it, and it stretches for miles, and it's about 10 miles inland. And I read somewhere that when that finally goes, the whole eastern seaboard is just going to disappear, and the sea will be washing up in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
So get there quick, folks. You never know the time.
So yeah, we have some comments. Edward, good to see you.
Ooh,
thank you.
Thank
you
you
for your artistic contributions.
I don't know about that, but thank you. I'll take that.
Terry, good to see you. He's from Ireland.
Hi, Terry. I've never been to Ireland. I'd like to go to the Republic on the west coast. I reckon it'd be nice there.
Okay. I've had a few things submitted for coursework for school. Last 6 months later, the same thing appeared.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, we've all done that one. Well, I'm lucky, Terry.
And another, I had to come up with a product to market it. Mine was frosted wheats with polar bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all done that one. I worked in advertising for a long time. That used to happen a lot.
Hey, Donna.
Donna.
Is Ted's show already over?
Is he talking about his watch today?
Well, he was talking about his watch, and then he's doing another show with Carl as well. So we're kind of competing with
Carl. Do you know Carl bought my book?
He's a fan of everyone, though.
don't spoil it for me. This is another book I published a couple of years ago. It's called 8 Seconds.
Okay.
Now.
Oh, wow.
That's one of my illustrations. I'm particularly proud of this book because can you work that one out? It's a machine gunner.
Okay.
You see this there.
Yeah.
This book, I'm really proud of this book. This book is my dad was a paratrooper on D-Day, and this book is built around what little he told me. Because those guys never seem to say anything. So I wrote this book about it, and the Mark Otway, who wrote the foreword for me, his granddad was my dad's captain,
Okay.
So he wrote the foreword for me because I went on one to the websites about it and told him I was writing the book. There's a line drawing of a sniper.
Oh, that's cool. Very well done. Wow.
So I thought I'd do that. So I published that as well. So I'm really proud of that one because that's for my dad. My dad's not here now, but that's that was for him. I enjoyed doing that. It's quite amazing because when you're growing up, when you're watching these war films and things, and you see all these guns and everything. Well, I had to learn about how they work and how many bullets they fire, and that's what I think. That's my research.
I think you and my husband would get along very, very well because he's he loves the World War II stuff as well.
Yeah. But I just think the most sobering thing about writing that book was the fact that my dad was 19 when he jumped out of that plane.
Oh, wow.
19, and he nearly drowned. Because Rommel, they obviously knew that the paratroopers would come before the landing force. They knew it was going to happen. They just didn't know when. So what Rommel did, he ordered all the fields flooded at the back of the coastline because he knew the paratroopers wouldn't land on the coastline because they'd drop inland. So he flooded all the fields, and a lot of the soldiers were drowned just with the kit that they were wearing was too heavy. The parachute would fall on them and they couldn't get out. And my dad, he nearly drowned. He managed to get his knife out and cut the parachute and get out. So not only was he 19 and he jumped out of this plane and landed in the water, and he was wet through, and they're all laughing. All his mates were laughing at him when they grouped up because they were all dry and he was wet through, and they hadn't started fighting yet, But the reason it's called 8 seconds, right, is because they were trained to jump out the plane at 2,000 feet, but that's too high, and the German gunners would get them. So the pilots used to fly at 500 feet, and the parachute from the door to the ground was 8 seconds. And that's it. So the parachute would open and literally just break your fall. You wouldn't be floating down. You would just jump out of the plane and then be on the ground. And I find that absolutely incredible that my dad did that. And then after the war, he went to India, and because when I sort of went to a few places where he'd been, and he joined the Indian Army, teaching people how to jump out of planes. So he became an instructor. So I don't know how many jumps he did. Well, he must have done a lot. you know what I mean? So yeah, it was that was a really interesting book to read about I like researching. You see, like with the JK thing, I like the research, and then what happens is that you do so much research, you've got to write it down, you've got to get it out of your head.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with the JFK thing. I wrote 2 books and published a magazine about it and other stuff like that. And so like I said at the beginning, I like a different job. I write a book about Kennedy assassination, and then the next day I'll be drawing that.
Okay, yeah, little green tree.
So, it's that's the way I've always worked it. To be doing different work every day. So I've been fortunate, really. Can you see that? Sorry.
No worries. That is adorable.
There he is. This little tree. So yeah, I like to do different things, but I think I like drawing the best. Drawing gives me more satisfaction.
Yeah.
I'm currently working on the second book of my character Hatch.
Okay, yeah, you were saying that earlier.
Yeah, but this is all done on board. It's real drawing, pencil, ink, coloured inks. No computers. In fact, the only way a computer touches that is when I scan it.
Oh wow.
Because I like drawing. I like the feel of that pencil on that board or that paper. Yeah. And I've tried computer illustration and I can do it, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I like the pencil. I like having to sharpen the pencil and erase the pencil work after you've inked it. And I like that kind of stuff,
And you know what? That's the thing that I kind of miss about comic books, as well as like the pen and paper art.
Yeah, it's like I don't read comic books anymore. I've not read them for a long time now because they become. I don't like all this changing of characters just for the sake of it. For the someone, I mean, all the box ticking that goes on. I don't see the point of any of that. Just create a different character.
Yep.
but the drawings now are so slick, and they're all women pushing their chests out, and the guy's dead ripped, and look at me, I'm gorgeous, you know. And it doesn't work for me. I mean, if you look back at the older guys, Kirby and Buscema and John Romita, their drawing is just superb, you know. They're just ordinary, a lot of the time ordinary people, but everybody else has got to be gorgeous now, and big lips, and look at me, you know. So I don't like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some people do.
Fashion definitely has way too much involvement when it comes to comic books and
I think that's what people do. I think people do that generally in life. They're too busy looking around rather than watching what they're doing. Just get on with it and do it, you know. Just, you know, not that I don't look around, but you have to get things done, you know.
So, do you like going to comic conventions and seeing people in costume dressing up as superheroes?
Well, I wouldn't do that. Although I do have a Captain America suit that a friend of mine made. I was Captain America for a fancy dress party.
Oh,
I'll send you some pictures. I should have shown you.
Oh, fantastic!
But that was a long time ago. And but no, the only time I've been doing conventions in the past 10 or 15 years was I used to publish a magazine called Crikey about British magazines, and I was at the convention to sell it. So it was more of a business, more of a business side of it rather than enjoying the convention so much, you know. And I just get. A friend of mine bought me a ticket to have a meeting with Stan Lee, right? With I think there was 20 other people, and it was like a personal meeting with him, you know. And then I was going to go, and then I found out that I thought, well, if I go to meet Stan Lee, I'm going to want a picture with him. Well, that was $25 or £25, and I thought, I've already paid well, I haven't paid it. You've already been paid £125 for this ticket. So if you want a picture, it's 25 quid. If you want an autograph, it's another 25 quid, because I might want him to sign something alongside Jack Kirby's name that I've got, you know, a Fantastic Four or something.
Yeah.
So there's another 50 quid, and I thought, no. So I sent the ticket back, thanked him, but no, wasn't wasted because he got his money back. But I just thought. I understand that if somebody gets Stan Lee's autograph or Jack Kirby's autograph, I understand that in the next 5 minutes it'll be on eBay, and they must think, well, why shouldn't they get something from it? And I can see that, and I can understand that. I can even agree with it, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to do it.
I think personally, if I were to have anything signed by Jack Kirby or Stan Lee, I'd cherish that thing forever.
Well, I've got a few things, you know, signed, but I just I don't like I don't know. It's just me getting old, you know. I'm just getting grumpier as I get old. It's just not the same. I don't know. It's just I've turned into my dad. You know, he'd say things like this to me. So I think we all hopefully get that far. You know, we all grumpy old men.
Hey, there are times where I feel like I'm a grumpy old woman. I look forward to the day where I'm on my porch yelling at kids to get off my lawn.
Well, I went to the supermarket earlier, and there was a kid who was screaming. I said to Helen, I said, that kid needs a slap. You can't say that anymore, even though I just said it, and I wouldn't do it. But do you understand what I mean? This kid was just going absolutely berserk, and the mother was just ignoring it. And I think, well, just control your kid, you know.
Yeah. Not
that I've ever slapped a kid, because I haven't, but you know, just a term. You know what I mean? But I'm sure everybody's felt like it.
I work in retail, and there are days where it's like, wow, people.
Yeah, control that small person, or don't bring it in. I had a guy. I was in the. Sounds like I'm in supermarkets a lot. I'm not. A few months ago, a guy came in. He brought his bike in with him. He's riding his bike. How does that work? He's bad enough on the street.
Said anything?
No. It's bad enough out on the street when they suddenly decide that they can ride on the pavement or the sidewalk on their bike. Well, you should get on the road. You knock somebody down, and now he's in a supermarket doing it. Anyway, anyway, that's me.
The entitlement attitude is everywhere.
Yes, it certainly is. Yeah. So,
Pop's in
Anyway,
the chat. Hey,
it's Pops.
Hey, Pop. Bit of trivia. Ozzy Osbourne is a World War II history buff.
All right.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
it's good to know.
Yeah.
Too bad we can't understand what he's saying.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sharon.
He'd be interesting to talk to if I could understand what he's
saying.
saying.
I think he's got some funny stories, certainly, hasn't he? When he, I can't say. He said one story on a TV program that I'm not going to repeat it here, but it was just so funny. It was a bit risque, but it was just really funny, because I think those kind of people seem to get into these situations, don't they? And they're sort of a bit hedonistic, aren't they? And things happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, but Ozzy's great. Yeah, he can't sing very well, but he's entertaining. I wouldn't swap my talent for his.
No.
But I swap his bank account for mine.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll get all the Ozzy Osbourne fans coming on now.
Although I don't think I could do the reality TV show aspect of his life.
I used to work with a guy who was married. His wife, her cousin was one of the Osbournes. Still is. Probably still is one of the Osbournes. But you know the one, the girl who wouldn't appear on it. Do you remember that? Was her. That's her.
Oh,
she was always fuzzed out and all this because she didn't want to be on it. And I don't blame her really, but it was quite entertaining, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know where they've all gone now, but I know Sharon's had a bit of trouble with the TV show, hasn't she? She walked out on it or something, and she said something, and somebody was upset. But that's the norm now, isn't it? To be upset. And then if you're not upset, somebody will be upset for you, won't it? So don't worry about it.
I like Sharon Osbourne for I loved watching her talk show, and then she had had a little stint on another talk show. I loved her. Her opinions are very straight to the point and very blunt, and I love her for that.
Well, see, we have I don't know whether you have it. Do you have X Factor? Simon Cowell.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have that here.
Yeah, well, I used to watch that years ago. I've not watched it for a long time because obviously it's not very good anymore. But it used to be really entertaining when they used to do the trials. Did you see the trials where they used to come in and they thought they were the best thing and they were rubbish? And there was one guy came on and it was terrible. It was terrible. And she said, and they're all saying, "Oh well, you got to learn this and change this." And Simon says, "Sharon, what do you think?" And then she said, "I'm going to be really kind now." That was the worst thing I've ever heard. She said, "Get off." So he kicks off and starts slamming about and coming back threatening her and all this kind. But it's all entertainment. But it's just too much. We don't watch that anymore.
Well, it's funny because Canada tried to do the whole singing competition thing, and I tried out for the first year that Canadian Idol was here. Didn't go well.
Did Simon Cowell make an appearance on that?
No, we had our own celebrities, but
because he owns that franchise, doesn't he? So he's made a few quid out. Because I've seen him. I've not watched it, but I know he's been on the American one, hasn't he? And all American Idol, whatever it's called, and all that. And you think, oh God, wish I could think of something like that. To be that bad and make that much money, it must be. There's a talent there, I think.
Hey, Carl, good to see you.
Carl.
Yes, we were going up against your show. I'm so sorry.
Carl, have you ever read this book? He's got it somewhere.
You're gonna have to read it.
I'm sure he's got it. He said he bought it. He should have read it by now. But here's another one you want. Was that Jack and Ozzy?
Sorry.
That one's on Amazon now. Hatch, first book. Get the adventures of Hatch there. All sorts of things happen to him.
Oh, that's cool.
Very, very strange happenings. But anyway.
You're going to have to buy the book in order to know what's going on.
That's right, yeah. Buy the book. It won't bankrupt you.
Yeah. Next on my list.
It's been on his list for 3 months. What's he reading? Must be reading War and Peace
backing
first.
everybody else too. In their Kickstarters. And then there's me. It's like I was only able to back Ted.
Yeah. His Retrieve book is brilliant. Ted's Retrieve book is great. I don't know if you've seen that or not. It's not out yet, is it? I'm not sure, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, I gotta pay off my credit card in order to be able to back everybody's Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Carl is a very slow reader.
Yeah. But at least he's bought it. That's okay. So thank you, Carl.
You're gonna be rich off of Carl.
Yeah. Yeah. Just when they made the movie.
Oh, that's the editor in me. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, don't edit it. Don't tell me any of that. It's all done now. I can't go back to that. That's the worst thing, isn't it, when you get a book and you think, oh no, there's a typo there. And, you think, and you've had it checked by somebody who said they knew what they were doing, and they obviously didn't because they missed it. That's the worst thing. That's one of the reasons why you were saying earlier about watching shows again. No, you can't do that. I don't think you can do that. You know, I don't really want to know. Reviews are good, but I remember one guy, the magazine I publish now called Comics Unlimited, and one guy just ripped it apart, and I thought, oh my God, because I wrote about an artist, a British artist, and I got a couple of things wrong, and he's the expert, and he said, why didn't you tell me you were doing this? And I said, because I don't know who you are, and I wouldn't think, oh, Willow knows about this. Why would you do that? Do you understand me? I didn't know who he was. Anyway, he ripped it apart and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know. You know what I mean? So I don't read the reviews.
Yeah, you're not a review reader. You would rather just ignore them.
Yeah, because it's too stressful. I think most of them are okay, but it's too stressful because they might not be, and you think, oh my God, So never read your own reviews. No, just do your best, put it out, and then do the next thing. That's what I think.
And when you work with editors for your books, do you agree with a lot of what they say? Or
of course I do. Yeah. It's not that. Yeah, it's not that I won't be challenged or change things. Of course I will. Yeah, not all the time, but yeah, a lot of the time, and that's their job, isn't it? To often. I mean, there was one I wrote. I interviewed Gene Cernan, who was the last man to walk on the moon, Apollo 17, about 20 odd years ago. Oh, more like 30 years ago now. And anyway, I interviewed him, and I wrote this piece for this magazine called Astronomy Now. And the editor rang me up, and she said, "This is great. This is really good, but I've done some changes." So I said, "Yeah, whatever." And she said, "Well, I sent you back, and then you approve it, and then it'll go to press." So she sent it me back, and I rang her up and I said, "You cut the best bit out." She said, "Oh no, that." She said, "Which bit?" I said, "The end bit." She said, "No, that's rubbish. We're not having that in it." So I thought that was the best part, the summation, but obviously not. But we went with it, and I bowed to her. But it was her magazine, so But it was, and I got paid for it as well. So it was great. I rang one of my heroes up, interviewed him, and then got paid for writing an article about it. How good's that? Because if she'd have said to me, "We're not paying you," I'd have said, "Okay," because I just wanted to see it in print. But I got paid as well, so win-win, isn't it? So.
Carl says, "I thought I was out of editing. Then I saw a friend's book that was poorly edited, so now I'm back into it."
Well, you can edit mine, Carl. And then somebody will be happy.
That's another question that I definitely need to ask Carl about that. How about do you allow friends to edit your books, or do
I allow friends?
Yeah, do you like having friends edit your books, or
no? I wouldn't let a friend edit my book unless they were an editor. I do have a couple of editors, but no, I wouldn't let anybody edit it. It's like when people say. When Grandma says, "Oh, these drawings are really good," and the kid's 3, you know, and they, oh, you know, my Tommy draws all the time. Well, kids do, don't they?
Yeah.
And grandma's going to think they're good, doesn't she? You know, and let's see what Tommy does with it. You know, let's see where he goes. But no, wouldn't let anybody read it. No. Well, I wouldn't let them edit it. I might let them read it, but I wouldn't let them edit it. No. But I must say that people who have read my stuff, they don't do that. They read it.
Okay.
You know, unless it's an editor who will edit it, if you get what I mean. But yeah, I'm not against changing things, but you know, I might not like it, but I can see the point.
Yeah.
But editors, I don't know. They should be writing.
Don't give false hopes and don't ruin your friendships.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So it's a very personal thing when you've written a book. You know, it's a very personal thing, and you need help later. Because obviously, you do need an editor and this kind of thing, and of course you do. But it's a very personal thing. I can understand why people would get hurt about it.
Yeah.
Because it's yours, you know, it's your baby, so to speak, and you're saying it's not good enough. How dare you, you know? So, but obviously they are needed, of course. We're all needed. Yeah. Everything is, you know, everything's here.
So at one point, I wanted to be an artist, and thought that if I put enough work into it, I can be a comic book artist. And there was one time where I showed the art to my mom, and my foster mom, and she goes, "What is wrong with you?"
That's why you don't show people. Well, what was wrong with it?
It was a picture of a woman turning into Venom.
Oh, right. Well, the thing is, you see, if Jack Kirby would have said to me, "Give up art," I probably would have done, because he knows what he's talking about. But is your mum an artist?
Yeah.
You know?
I try to draw them in as much as possible. Just if I would have actually put my mind to it and taken like anatomy and all that, I probably would be a better artist. But
well, you can still do that now. Do it now.
That's true.
So the day is the same. Just you know, a bit further on. Just get that book and learn and look at it and change it and get your own style, and then just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, you know, we all do this. I think all artists do this. I certainly did. You get a favorite. You know, you get Jack Kirby, or you get Barry Windsor Smith, or John Buscemi. You get these favorites. So you steal bits from it and you try and draw like them. And then, but at the end of it, right at the end of the day, your own style will always come through. You know, because we're all different. And but you learn things, don't you? You pick things up and you learn things, and you incorporate them into your work, or you don't. You know, you recognize things. It's like singers. You know, some singers you like, some you don't, and there's a reason for that, isn't there? But it's, you know, but so you take things, you go to what you like. That's obvious. You know, we all do that. But if you find artists that you like, look at what they're doing. Don't try and copy what they're doing, but look at what they're doing and how they do it, and try and work it out and figure out what they're trying to do and say. So you could still do that.
Did your family encourage your art?
I wouldn't say they encouraged it, but they didn't discourage it either. I think what happened was when I left school when I was 15, and went into what we call sort of labouring jobs. You know, really not good jobs, really. And I did that for 2 years until I was 17, and I sort of woke up and thought, what am I doing? I can't do this for the rest of my life. Just have these, you know, ordinary. This sounds awful, but not ordinary jobs, because all jobs are good. But I felt I could do more than that, especially with what I had. So I just signed myself into art college, and then came out of art college and did graphics and for the rest of my career, you know, and worked for myself, and I was the manager of a couple of places and all this kind of thing. So I made the right decision, but I'm glad I did those 2 years sort of out on the road, so to speak, because I knew what it was like. And a lot of the people, when I went to college, a lot of the people had gone straight from school, and they were bored because it was like school to them. But it was wonderful for me, because I'd been away from school for 2 years, and it was brilliant because now there was a chance for me to do my artwork and carry on with it in an organized place. Because at school we had one lesson a week of art, 2 hours, Now that was fine for the rest of the class because they weren't interested, but I was the artist. I was the person who people would come to draw a specific thing. Like the girls wanted me to design their school uniform for them, you know, and I did that kind of thing. But it wasn't an emphasis on it, and I always think that school is a wasted place because they just tell you a load of stuff. They don't let you explore things. They don't try and get. I'll give you an example. When I was 15 and I was leaving school, I went to what we call a careers officer. Right? I went with my mum to this careers officer, and I'm 15 years old, right? When I'm with my mum, and this guy said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to draw comics." And he said, "Oh," he said, "nobody draws comics." And I thought, I've got 600 of these things under my bed, and somebody's done them. But in that time, I don't know about now with kids, but we wouldn't answer anybody about like that. And then, so I didn't say anything. He said to me, "Ever thought about being a mechanic?" And I said, "No, I don't want to be a mechanic." Do you see what I mean? So art. I don't think art is pushed enough in school. You learn a lot. You learn a lot of stuff. You should learn how to change a tire and how to arrange your finances in school. Not about Henry VIII and George Washington. That's done. That doesn't matter now. You should learn how to change a tire or make a meal or maybe learn a few manners. You know, learn how to treat people, that kind of thing. All that other, see, the historical side of it. I like history, and I've pursued a lot of history, but that's been down to me. You know, and a lot of kids will. A lot of you've been to school. A lot of kids do nothing. They just mess about. They don't do anything. And then when they come out of school, they can't work out why they can't get what people would call a decent job. And it's because they've done nothing for 10 years and they think it all lands on your lap. And some people it does. But I just think that you should find out what it is that you want to do and go for it.
That's the funny part, because every time I got asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, it was always, you know, I want to be an entertainer, I want to be an artist,
celebrity.
It wasn't so much I wanted to be a celebrity. I just I like entertaining people, and so I had it in my head, like whether or not if I was going to be a singer or some kind of showman, you know, that whole thing, like putting on huge shows, like social, we call them socials here, but dances and, you know, like the theatric aspect of partying. That's what I was focused on, and being the person to plan all that. That's what I wanted to do, and I didn't know that was actually a thing until later on, until in my 20s, when it's like, be a party host.
Well, you should have pursued it.
You know what? I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is that I want to be, and then of course I got into watching, you know, Conan O'Brien and like other late night talk shows, and it's like, I like that.
That's good. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But see, so there was have you heard of Ricky Gervais?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, he was on a program and he was talking about this kind of thing, and he was saying that he'd seen an interview with some kids, and they were asked what they wanted to do. They were sort of 15, 16, and they were asked what they wanted to do, and they said, be famous. They didn't want to be a footballer or an astronaut or an artist. They wanted to be famous. So you could shoot the president and be famous, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a silly thing, and I think that's where the world is, you know, not getting too serious about it. But people are, it's the entitled age, you know. I want it all, and I want it now. Well, go and work for it and make it happen rather than be given to you. You know, that's the way I see it. And I think the trouble down the line will be 50 years from now, when nobody can do anything because nobody's learned anything because they all want to be famous. That's when it'll hit. You know.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I don't know anything. But I just. You know, I made up my mind a long time ago that I was going to take every opportunity I could, and I've missed a lot of opportunities, but I've achieved some, you know, and some have been given to me, and I've made some happen and all that kind of thing. But I don't just sit around waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to try hard. You've got to try and work at it and that kind of thing, you know. So that's what I do. That's my philosophy. Just try and get it done. I'm writing about 6 books at the same time at the moment. I'm doing a film. I've got this book coming out soon, and I just do all different things. Two science fiction novels I'm writing right at the same time. I'm writing another book. I won't tell you the title on air because somebody will nick it. But I've got all these ideas about things, and like I said to you about the Rapa Nui film, you know, I've got 6 hours of that, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. So I've got to do something with it, because otherwise it's sort of a waste of time, really. You know, and also with the Rapa Nui book, the Easter Island book, I took 1,000 photographs when I was there, and I think there's about 100 in the book. That means I've got 900 photographs, and if you think that they're not all going to be brilliant, but there's probably another book there, and I was thinking of doing a companion photographic book to go with it. You see, just to publish it. Maybe nobody buy it, but just to publish it, because you know how many are going to buy it unless I publish it.
Yeah.
So you can see there's only so much you can do, you know. But I would suggest to people that they pursue what they want to do and just try and make it happen, because it won't if you don't. You know, you might not achieve what you want to do, but you won't if you don't do anything.
Yeah.
So
movie posters would be amazing.
Yeah,
like, that'd be
a great gig, wouldn't it? Yeah. That would be fantastic. In the 90s, I produced a magazine. We have you must have heard of Coronation Street.
Yep.
Right. Well, I co-wrote and produced the official magazine for that series.
Okay.
And I got to interview a lot of the stars and all this kind of thing. And that was brilliant to work on, because I've never had so much hassle from people, because I used to get the storyline 6 weeks ahead.
Oh.
And people would be hassling me to, what happens there? You know, my mother-in-law, what happens there? Can't tell you. Do you know what happens? Yep. Tell me. No. And, do you know what I mean? But I used to work on that for a while. That was really good. A lot of people, big in Canada, isn't it? It's big over there, isn't it?
Huge in Canada.
Yeah. Well, there was a fan group that probably still is, and they used to come over every year, and they came to our studio when we were producing this magazine, because they used to go and watch Bill Tarmy singing, you know, and then they came over to the Granada studios, and they came into our office while we were doing the magazine, and I had to stop doing what I was doing, because it was they'd see the storyline and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, that was good working on that. So I used to work on a magazine called Undercover, which was about secret government and all that kind of thing. And then a year later, I was working on a soap magazine. So like I said, I like different kinds of jobs and stuff like that, you know. And then one day I'll be drawing, and the next day I'll be writing and organising photography and all this kind of stuff. So it's varied. I've had a varied time.
Very true, Carl. 5 years from now, you can have another project or two done and sitting there wishing you that.
Yeah, that's right. You have to. I've got lots of things on the go, you know, and just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, because otherwise nothing gets done. You know, you just sit around and hope. Well, you can't make everything happen, I don't think, for you, but you can certainly make a lot of things happen. Mm-hmm. But you've got to just push yourself and try it. And if you want to go to, if you want to go to Zimbabwe, well, go to Zimbabwe and have a look around and see what's going on. You know, if you want to do that, that's what I suggest. Because I said before on other podcasts that I've just taken my opportunities in travel and life. I think not all of them, and I've missed a lot, but I've taken a lot. Because people say, "Oh, you've been to a lot of places." Well, they could go. The aircraft is on the tarmac waiting. You know, it wasn't waiting for me. It was just waiting for someone to get on it. So, you know, if you want to go somewhere, work towards that. And people say, well, it costs a lot of money. I said, well, depends how you do it. I was 6 weeks in India with a friend of mine, and we weren't staying. We did stay in a couple of hotels, but most of the time we were staying in a shack, you know, that we had cockroaches running up the wall, and it was awful. Yeah. But I know people who go to a place called Goa on the west coast of India for a holiday, and they don't go outside the hotel complex, so they don't see it. They don't see what it's like. It's awful. It's awful. Yeah. The poverty and everything is terrible. But they just sitting on a sun lounger and drink martinis. Well, you could do that in the back garden. Why spend all that money going halfway around the world and not go off the complex?
Yeah.
You know, that's what I did. That's what we did. Went to the Taj Mahal and all that kind of thing, and went to the Himalayas and all that sort of stuff. And it was just fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
Not sure whether I'd go again or not, because Tim, my friend, he asked me if I fancied going again. It was 1980 when we went, so I said probably not. He said we'd have a better time, and he's probably right about that, because when I got there, he'd been to the Philippines the year before, and he had his sort of culture shock. So when I went to India with him, he knew what was going to happen when we went out that door, and I didn't know. And even if you do know, even if you've seen it on the TV or something, it's not the same as it actually. So in other words, I'll tell you what happened. We got to it was Mumbai then, Bombay Airport, and the doors. An airport is an airport, like anywhere in the world. And we walked. I always remember there is two sliding doors, and you know when you go to these warm places and the heat hits you, you know. Well, like in Florida and places, bang, just go, or in Spain, it just goes bang. Well, this knocks you over, this heat and the dust, and there's different smells. And I got about 2 feet outside the door, and I had 2 beggars wrapped around my legs. They had no legs. They were on like little skateboard things, and they grabbed hold of my legs. And Tim just said, "Welcome to India," behind me.
Oh, my word.
And I'd been there for 2 seconds. Apart from in the airport, clearing customs and all that, but in the actual street, and that was just outside the doors, and that's what it was like for 6 weeks. It was a brilliant experience, but I don't think I'd want to do it again. Yeah. But I wouldn't dissuade anybody from going.
Yeah,
you know, if you wanted to do it, but be prepared. But you can't be prepared until you're there. You know, sleeping in holes in the ground with a piece of tarpaulin dragged over and things like that. That's what we did. But we had a good time. We had a good laugh, but. It was some of it was dire, you know. It was.
But I mean, that's the experience that you want, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I'm glad I went, but I'm not sure where I go again, because obviously, like I said, he asked me, and I thought, no, I'm too old and creaky now. At least I could run away then, you know. So I'm not something I can run very far these days.
What is the most memorable place that you've traveled to?
Oh, that'd be Easter Island, I would think. The best place was New York, but the Easter Island was the most memorable. Yeah, you know, seeing those statues. There's 800 of those statues all around. They're all standing all around the island, and they're all looking in. Oh, and they're massive things. You know, they're some of them are about 6 foot tall, but some are 60 foot tall. You know, they're incredible. They're incredible. And how they move them around is another story. But yeah, if anybody wanted to go on an adventure rather than a holiday, I'd say go there. You know, because it was amazing, an amazing place. In fact, I'll try and find a picture to give you the size of some of these guys. I nearly died a couple of times while I was there as well. I nearly fell into the sea 300 feet. So that wasn't a good move. And then there was one of the locals who I went to a party, and I was talking to this girl, and this guy came up to me and he said to me, told me I was in danger because this local guy quite fancied this girl and he thought I was taking her off him. I was only talking to her. That's how big these fellas are. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And there's the same again underneath.
You're a pretty tall guy too, right?
I'm 6'1". Wow. So there's 18 foot there, and there's 18 foot below the ground. So that's 36 feet high. He weighs about 60 tons, and there's 800 of these guys all around the island, and it's an amazing place. It's really strange as well in the atmosphere. It's a really weird place. You can feel it. It's very odd. It's very strange, but it's fascinating, you know.
And how's the local food in that area?
It's just rubbish like everywhere else you go. Everybody thinks that. Well, it is, isn't it? You go to it's hardly top cuisine. It's just you just get fries and burgers and all that stuff. The usual rubbish. But they eat a lot of fish, and I ate some really rubbish fish while I was there, so it's not so clever. But I wouldn't suggest it was top cuisine in Easter Island. And even, I mean, I stayed in a nice place, but they it's obvious they only have what they have, and it's fish, basically. Some of it's good, but I had a couple of bad dishes. My fault for choosing it. And they have beer and stuff like beer and wine, so you're okay.
Ryan says, congratulations on your new project.
Wow. It'll soon to be my old project because it'll be done soon. I can do something else. I don't like hanging around with things. The worst bit is promotion. Promotion is the worst bit because I don't like doing that, really. I'd rather just somebody else did that. I need a publicity department.
And you don't have your own publicist to do that for you?
No. It's not. No, I do everything. I just get on with it. I've been let down too many times with things like that. I'd rather just do it myself, because I can sort of trust myself. People try, but they don't. People let you down.
What is a piece of work that you are very proud of that sticks out in your mind?
My dad's book. This one, the one I wrote about my dad.
Okay, yeah.
I wrote an illustrated on that, and I really enjoyed doing that. This is that drawing of the machine gunner that was on the back that you couldn't see. Can you see it now?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
See, there's a story behind that as well, because when you look at the artwork, it's not really finished. I sort of fell out with the drawing. I spent a couple of days drawing that, getting it all right, and I didn't like it, and I was quite annoyed. So I just splashed all that colour on it, and it turns out to be one of the best drawings in the book.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
that is on the back.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So never throw anything away. Never get so annoyed with something that you destroy it. Keep it all. So, but yeah, that would probably be the thing I'm most proud of, and the Rapa Nui book as well. So there's my story on there, and there's the one about there's the book about my dad.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Those are probably the best two things I've done.
And of course, you're getting all Chris is enthralled with you, and I think you made a new fan.
Well, thank you very much. But with the Kirby thing, what I'm doing now is, as I said, I released the film in 2017. But what I've done is I've done like a final cut on it because I've got some extra footage that I found and stuff like that. Nothing sensational or anything like that. I have to say that because people are watching, but there's nothing to be worried about. And but what I've done is include on the original film. In fact, I've got on the original one, which is there. Mm-hmm. You get the film, and on the new one you get obviously the original film, and you get new stuff on it. You get me talking about it. And then we did a Q&A after the premiere, and that's on it as well. So it's about another 40 or 50 minutes worth of stuff on the back of the original one. And I'm releasing the book at the same time, and that's a more detailed story of my going there and being there that wasn't caught on film, because the first time I went, the camcorder broke, and the second time is the basic the majority of the film. So there's a very big insight into different areas that aren't on the film and in the book. So it's going to be released at the same time. I'm going to put it on a crowdfunder soon, and next few weeks, and then we'll see what happens with that.
Looking forward to that release.
Mm-hmm. You've got the book cover there, haven't you? Put the book cover up.
Yeah.
You've got the cover of it, haven't you? That's it. See, what I'm doing with that is I'm going to release it on the crowdfunder with the DVD. So you buy the book and the DVD. I'm not going to separate it. It's just that's the whole thing. You get the book and the DVD. So there won't be many sort of there won't be any sort of perks on it like there normally is on a crowdfunder, because I can't do that. There's nothing to really offer. Unless I offered the original film or something like that, but I don't know why anybody would want that. But you know what I mean. But that's £10,000 that I do want that. But so that's going to be out soon.
And are you gonna do a Kickstarter for that too?
Yeah.
For the funds? Okay.
Yeah, and that'll be in the next few weeks. Well, that's why I'm going on all these shows now, like with yours. So thanks for having me on.
No,
so
no problem.
So I can push it. So I don't know when it's going to be. It's going to be a couple of weeks. There's just needs tweaking and organising, and I'm going to get on. I think I'm going to go on Indiegogo.
Okay.
And see what happens with that. So I'm hoping that I'll be reaching a lot of people through these things, and they'll all have a look at it. You know.
Well, we'll have to do like a live show when you first put up.
Yeah, there's I saw it was somebody. I think it was can't remember his name, but somebody did a live launch. You know, press the button, and I don't know how you do that. So it's just crazy. I mean, I don't know what it does, but people having like pre-launch parties, and then then a launch party, and then an after launch. And I thought, oh, that's a great idea because it keeps it in everybody's mind all the time. So maybe I'll do that. I don't know.
Kind of like a telethon.
Yeah. So I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you would set it up to launch it on the same show.
I'm sure sticking with Ted and Carl and Brian,
I'm sure they can help to do it. Yeah.
They'll help you with all that.
Yeah. So yeah, I might do that. I'll just get embarrassed doing that kind of thing. But yeah, it seemed like a lot of fun to be had.
So Chris has been a fan of yours for years.
A fan of mine?
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Chris. Don't know why. Very nice. I had an embarrassing moment many years ago when I was at a convention, and all I was doing at this convention in London was delivering artwork for a comic I was working on to the editor, and this guy said to me, would I just mind his stall for a minute while he went to the bathroom? So I said yes. I'm standing there in front of all these comics that he's selling, and this guy comes up with his son, and his son was about 7, and this guy's looking at me, and he's sort of same age as I was, probably in the 30s then, and he's thinking like, what are you doing here? What am I doing? You can see it in his face. And this kid said to me, have you done any of these? So I said, yeah, I have actually, that one there. And he says to his dad, can I have this one, Dad? And he said, yeah. And this kid says to me, will you sign it for me? So whoa, that was really embarrassing.
Oh, that's cute.
So I did. I hope he still got it. I mean, he'll be taking his son now to the London convention, won't he? But I was really embarrassed. I can't imagine what it must be like to sit there and but then again, if you're getting 25 quid an autograph, but I couldn't do that. You see, I couldn't charge anybody that, could I? I wouldn't charge. You know, I just wouldn't. You couldn't. That's terrible.
Yeah.
25 quid to scribble your name on a piece of paper. It sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? If you get 500 of those in a day, you're all right, aren't you? Yeah, I might change my mind on that one. If it ever comes to it. You watch.
I think that
you watch people
comes
avoid
with
me.
a little bit of an ego too. So
yeah, I have a healthy ego like everybody, but I don't know whether I could cope with that. But then again, 25 quid per.
Exactly.
Not bad, is it? Pay for the table, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So
I couldn't do it either. Like I as much as like I love doing these broadcasts, I don't think I could ever be like an egotistical DJ at a radio station.
But I think it's like I said before about Stan Lee. If you imagine that he probably knows that his name's going to go up on eBay in 10 seconds, so why shouldn't he get his cut?
Yeah.
So I can see the point of it. I can see the point. But doing it, it'd be nice to be in a position when somebody asks you, wouldn't it? Will you come along and sign your book? Yeah, I'll go on then. You know. So yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, like, we'll see what happens with your books in the next little while. Like,
Well, I've got the Kirby one's coming out first, and I've got the second book of Hatch coming out as well.
Okay.
That's coming out. That's coming along really nicely. That's probably going to be, I don't know, about 32 pages. I would have thought it might be in hardback as well. I'm not sure. I'm going to do that one. This Kirby book is hardback, by the way, and it's only going to be in hardback with the film. That's what you get. That's all there is. I'm not going to do a paperback version without the film. It's just both and bang, you know.
And
So-
are you going to go on a book tour to all the bookstores for that as well?
I doubt it. I don't know. I'm going to get in touch with Forbidden Planet over here and see if I can get it in there. And I'm going to approach what you might call the big publishers with it as well. But this one is just one. I'm putting this one out, you know, as the publisher. But yeah, I would certainly do that. Yeah, I'd do that. I'd love to do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But whether I will or not achieve that, I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll have to do our own little book tour.
Yeah, do a virtual book tour. Yeah, we could send people out with a mask on and pretend they're me, you know, and just I could be in Scotland and Ireland at the same time. I'm sure people have done that.
I know, like
paper mask of my face, just stick it on with a mask on it.
In my city, they love their indie authors. So there's a bookstore. Maybe I'll reach out to them and see if we can't do something with them.
I'd love to. The only thing I can't do is get on an aircraft, isn't it? I don't think we're allowed over there.
See if we can do like a virtual.
Yeah, we can do that.
Q&A.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, fix it up. You can be my PA on that one.
I'll do my best.
No, it's just great coming on these things with these people. You know, we have a laugh and everything. I really enjoy it. It's really great.
Carl says I'll have to practice my accent to be Glenn.
Well, I'll do some pre-record. You can just press the button, you know, and pretend it's me.
So it looks like it's a sunshiny day where you are at.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really it's really great. Yeah, yeah. It's 5:30 and it's really bright and really nice. Yeah, blue sky. We've had some rain this past couple of days, which has been great.
Yeah.
But I like the rain. But it's a nice day today. Yeah, nice and warm.
Yeah. Let me tell you about a bar fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do I dare ask about that?
Well, that was I think he's referring to the guy at the party. I was convinced when I was going home from the party. I'd had a few drinks, you know, but I was convinced I was going to get jumped. You know, nothing happened. But the funny thing was the next day, the party was at the guy whose motel I was staying in. So it was only 100 yards to where I was staying through his garden. And the next day he knocked on my door and he said he was to come for lunch. You see, he's made some lunch and or he was making some lunch to come round, and it was at the back of his house. So I wandered round and that guy was there. He was there and he had his hat on like this, and he was sitting in the chair like this. And I don't think he was avoiding me, but I didn't speak to him and he didn't speak to me. So I don't know whether he got his girl or not, but I don't think he did. And you know, this guy, like I said, this guy came up to me and he said to me I was in danger, and so this girl disappeared and I went the other way and just left it at that. I thought, no, I don't need this. But I was convinced I was going to get jumped going back to my little room, but I didn't. But the picture of me nearly falling off the cliff, I climbed up into a cave and put my camera down on the tripod and I set the timer. And I wanted a picture of me with the Pacific Ocean behind me in the aperture of the cave. And so I put the timer on, and it's 10 seconds. So I'm shuffled towards the edge, and I realized in a second that I was actually slipping out of the cave. And just as there's a photograph in the book. The timer went, took a photograph of me, sort of
Oh no!
And I just stopped. It just stopped. So I had to move forward slowly and get my camera and get down and get out of there. It was about 300 feet off the sea, you know. It's a long way down, and shark-infested waters and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, nearly met my demise there. In fact, I'll try and find this picture for you and show you. There it is. And I didn't even get the sea on it, but you can see there, I'm just going over the edge of a 300-foot drop into shark-infested water. Can you see that?
Oh, wow.
Look at that look on my face there.
Oh, wow.
And that was taken just as I was going over the edge, or just about to, and but God stopped me falling off the edge, or something did, you know. So I could have taken. Imagine that if I'd have gone over the edge, that'd have been it. I wouldn't have been here now. But imagine the guy I was with who was taking me around the island. He was waiting for me around the corner. Down, he'd been in the cave. He didn't want to go in the cave, and I disappeared. He came up. He would have come up to look for me, wouldn't he? Because I couldn't have gone anywhere. There's only two places I could go: down the steps to where he was, or out of that aperture. And if I had gone out of there, I'd have been dead. But that picture would have been still on my camera. You know, I'd have photographed my own death.
Oh, no. Oh.
So, but it's yeah, it was a great place. Yeah, I should try it. To get down there and have a look. Absolutely. It'll do your head in. It just sent me crazy, you know, for a few weeks, because it was I was on my own, and I didn't see this guy who took me around the island all the time, you know. So there were days when I didn't, apart from maybe ordering something in a restaurant or something, I didn't speak to anybody, and it drives you crazy. You start to talk to yourself, and you start to listen to yourself, and it's a bit, should we go over here? Yeah, let's go over here. Okay, we'll go over here, you know. This kind of thing. I was going out of my mind, but it was a brilliant place. That's just me. But I'd say if you were going to go, I'd say go with someone.
Okay.
And share the madness, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's a brilliant place. It's absolutely brilliant. I want to go back.
Yeah.
But you can't go anywhere these days, can you? So, you know, has Britain opened up at all since? Well, yeah,
the
but
pandemic?
I can't go to America. I don't think America will let us in. There seems to be a lot of Americans coming over here, but we're not allowed in. I don't think Biden likes us Brits, but no, there's still restrictions going on. Still restrictions. You still have to wear masks and get double jabbed and all this kind of palaver, and I don't know what's going on. The world has definitely changed this past 18 months, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
You know, the whole place has just turned upside down. It's gone crazy.
Yeah. My province has finally started to let people in more and more restaurants and place entertainment areas and stuff like that has opened up now, and so the people are being allowed in the football next week, Saturday, so the stadiums will be full, so we'll see. I think there's going to be a third wave. I think we're going to get not locked down again for Christmas. That's me being optimistic. Well, that's just it. Like, a lot of people are talking about like our fourth wave here, because we tried doing the whole opening up and it just it didn't go very well.
Well, there was a variant coming in from India a few weeks ago, but they weren't stopping planes coming from India, and I can't work that one out. They should have just said no, turn back, go away. But they don't, so I don't know. What you'll have to do is just stay in and watch my film and read the book. That's what you'll have to do. You'll have all these coming months to watch it every day. So that's what you should be doing. Yeah. And all my fans out there, Chris can do that. My one fan.
Like Carl says, when you go back, let us know if the guy got his gal.
Well, I don't think he will have done, because I think she was from Chile, so I think she was a teacher, and I think she was only there for 6 months, and 16 years since I was there, so they're probably married and divorced by now. It'd be funny if she was still there, though, wouldn't it? And he was there, and I went to a party, and he was a bit angry with me again. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? I remember you. You took my girlfriend away. Well, I didn't. I was only talking to her. I wasn't trying to impress myself upon her. I was just talking to her, like you do, like I'm talking to you. I'm just having a conversation, and he was really, really pissed about that. And not happy at all.
Yeah.
I mean, enough for someone else to come and tell me. I mean, that's bad, isn't it? It obviously just wasn't in his head, was it?
No.
I think this guy had form, actually. I think somebody told me he was a bit of a drunk, and he had a bit of form about he liked a bit of the old fighting and things like that. And I thought, well, I don't want to fight anybody. I don't want to fight anybody on my own street, never mind half a world away. What's the point of that?
Yeah, exactly.
But I did. Yeah, I did think I was going to get jumped. It was one of those walks of fear, 100 yards through all this bushes and things. But he didn't. And then he was there next day. I'm having lunch with him, sort of, but he didn't say anything. So, yeah, I'll find out whether he got his gal.
When you go on these trips, do you stay in like hotels or?
Not so much. No. I class these, when I go to these places, that they're adventures rather than holidays.
Okay.
I don't go on holiday.
So you actually do go to like the hostels?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And rough it, as we would call it. Rough it, and because I think that way, not only do you save a lot of money, you get a sample of the place as well. Because you generally, when you sleep in those places, you're generally with the populace, rather than in some swanky hotel. Don't get me wrong. If I had the money, I'd stay in the hotel. Right. So I'd like to do it. I'd like to do the world 5-star, But yeah, you get down there in it, and there was in India. There was we stayed in this place called the Pratap up in near Udaipur up in the north, and we hadn't had Tim and I hadn't had a wash, never mind a shower or anything, for about 3 days. And it's amazing how you get used to your own smell. Mm-hmm. And because it's hot and sweaty, and you get on, we've not had a wash. We'd been sleeping rough in the ground and all this. We got to this place called the Pratap, and it was run by students, and there were these girls there, and this girl said, Tim said to this girl, have you got a shower? And she said, oh yeah, it's there. And out in the middle of the field was like a TARDIS sized thing, like a little shack, little shed. So that's the shower. So Tim said, right, I'm going for a shower. So he walked off, and I was just, I don't know what, reading or doing something. And he appeared, he came straight back. And I said, that's a quick shower. He said, get your towel and go and see the moving shower. So I got my towel and I went up and I opened the door, and there were about 19 million, EBGBs in there, and they all shot for the dark, and it was like it was moving. The walls were moving, and I thought, I'm not having a shower with 50 million cockroaches, So I came back. I said, I see what you mean. He said, what we're going to do? I said, well, we probably won't have a shower today. We'll probably wait till we get to the next hotel, which was about 3 days away. So I don't think we had a proper wash for about a week. But, it's all good fun.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to shower in that.
It was awful. But the thing is, I would imagine, though, that, well, you see, the thing is they don't have running water. So it would have been a lot of the showers I had a shower in were like a bucket with holes popped in. You pour water in and stand underneath it.
Yeah.
That's your shower. So you do that, and you're getting lathered up or whatever you're doing. And usually it's cold water, so it doesn't lather too well. And then by the time you've done that, you've got to get out and get the next bucket and do it. So I don't know where all these little guys would go, but I wasn't going to find out. I don't want to be, didn't want to be doing that, I could tell you some other stories as well, but they were pretty dire.
There will definitely be a part 2 to this.
Well, I don't know whether I can tell you, but It was an experience. I'm glad I did it, but like I said, I don't know whether I'd do it again. Or if I did, I'd do it 5-star.
Yeah.
You know, so I could get away from it and relax in this thing called a bed, you know, and have a wash and that kind of thing. But we did stay in one great place. It's a place called Udaipur, and it's called the Lake Palace, and it was built by one of the chieftains from Middle Age times, you know, 500 years ago, because he hated all the people there. So what he did, he built this palace, and the walls go into the water. So all there is a building on the water. You can Google it, you'll see it. And the walls literally go into. You can't walk around the building. It's just literally a building in the water. Yeah. And that was like a 5-star place. That cost us £5 a night, which is how much is that? About $7. And it was usually about 5 rupees, which is about 25 cents a night, you know, these places we stayed in. And we even, when we were eating, there's this guy, it was really, really irritating. There was this guy and he had all the Indian garb on, you know, looked fantastic. Yeah. And you know, when you're eating, you're talking, you're eating, and you think, oh, I'll have a bit more of that. He would sense this and he'd put it on your plate for you. And all you wanted to do was get your own rice, you know, but he'd spoon it on your plate. He's watching you, and he was standing next to us, and you're thinking, you can't have a conversation because he's standing there. He was literally there, you know, and he's spooning stuff on your plate when you finish and all this kind of thing. So 5-star treatment. That's the one I'm going to do every time now. 5-star treatment. But the Lake Palace is wonderful because what happens is you have to get this little boat out to it, and we were going out on this little boat, and all of a sudden these kids popped up, and they'd swim out and scare you and jump up and then disappear again under the water. It's just great. It's mad. Absolutely mad.
So are you just as adventurous when it comes to eating food on your travels?
I'll try it. Yeah, I'll try it. Yeah. Some things I won't eat. Like Tim was eating, when Tim was in the Philippines, he was eating deep fried grasshoppers and things like that. And I don't know whether I'll try that or not. He said it's just like brittle, you know, just crunchy.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it a shot, but you know, try most things.
Okay. Well, we've been on for an hour and 42 minutes. This is I will let you get to your life. So where can we find you on social media?
Best is on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but I don't go on there a lot. Facebook and yeah, just on Facebook. I'm all over Facebook. You'll find me on their various groups. But you can. Oh no! Don't put that up. Take that off. Take that off.
Nope. Sorry.
Don't go there. No, I have to tell you. Don't go. I've got to. This is what happened.
Okay.
That was my website. That's my website. But it's a Japanese porn thing now, because what happened was I got a renewal on the name.
Okay.
And I was away.
Oh no!
And I missed it by a day. I came back and I couldn't renew it, and I went to it and bang.
Oh, okay, I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. It's a Japanese dating site. I lost so much work because of that, and probably still do. I'm just setting up a new website, so don't.
Okay.
But
do not go to that website.
Well, if you want a date with a Japanese girl, go to it. But you won't. I'm not there.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I should have asked.
It's all right. That's all right. It's been a few years now since Thank you, Carl and Donna.
Thank you.
But I was mortified. I set the website up and everything. All my work was on it, and all this direct people to it. And I'm away for a day. I should have had an automatic renew, I know, and all this kind of thing, but I didn't. And then bang. So I got in touch with the hosting service, and they said there was nothing they could do about it because it was legitimate. It had gone back in the pool, and they claimed it. You know, so what can you do? And I'm not about to give them the $1,500 or such that they want me to buy it back. No,
all right.
No, I'm not falling to extortion.
All right, so you can find him on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook only. Yeah. Until I say different.
All right. So thank you, Glenn, for being on my show. And anytime that you want to hang out, hey, I'll try. I'll try to do more of these morning shows if people can't do evenings. So
thanks very much for having me on. It's been good. Yeah, been a laugh, and promoting this stuff. I will announce when it's on Kickstarter at some point, or well, let's say Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever, put it on, and I'll let you know. And I'll be telling people like you who have the podcast before I tell the world, so we can maybe do a show on it or something like that again, and
absolutely
see what happens. And then that's when the stress starts, though. You see, whether it's going to fail. I mean, imagine if nobody does it, nobody signs up for it. I'll never be able to show my face again, will I?
I think you'll be fine.
I hope so. But that's the thing, you see. That's the doubt. That's like when you write the book and you publish it and you think, is anybody going to buy this? But like I say, if you don't write it, nobody's going to buy it.
Well, you have lots of fans here that will buy your stuff.
Oh, I hope so, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. So you guys can find me all over social media. I'm the social media socialite. I'm the Hanging with Web show program director. So I'm glad to be back doing our daily posters for our shows. You can also find me every second Saturday, or every second Sunday, mind you, on Cryptic Crunch for the Back of the Cereal Box Network. So yeah, join me this Sunday. Here, I'll play this video if I can find it. Here we go.
I'm GW Pomager.
I'm Dina Marie.
I'm Sage Ia.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
Hey, I'm David Thompson.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mia.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hey there, this is Dave Adams.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Rose.
Jerome Conner here.
Hey guys, it's Josh Bauer.
It's Willow Schuyler.
I'm Cosplay Michael.
Abba. It's your boy Country.
I'm Ryan Permison.
And I'd like to ask you guys,
please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please
subscribe.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe to HWWS
Web TV.
Great bunch of people.
And don't forget to smash the bell.
Ring that bell.
Smash that bell.
Hit that bell.
Hit the bell to be notified.
Hit the bell to get notified of new shows
and videos.
You're going to want to do that, so do that soon. So we can cross that 20,000 mark.
And get us to 100,000 subscribers.
To 1 million, and 10 million, and 100 million.
On HWWS.
Web TV.
You'll really like it. I guarantee it.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. It's been great. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely.